Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, and welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi, CHULLIN Daf Lamed. We begin at the Tanu Rabbanan, 4 lines off the top of the Amid. So this continues our discussion regarding Hechsher. As we learned yesterday, blood, dam, is one of those 7 primary liquids which have the ability to be machshir, food for tumah. Which means to say, you have fruit, vegetables, you have meat. Unless they come into contact with liquid, only that completes the process. Only that makes it into true, complete food. In fact, Rashi in Chumash has a lashon. He says the hechsher, what it does is lo yuchshar v'nitkan likares oichal likabel tumah ad sheyavel of mayim. This is Rashi in Parakid Aleph pasuk lamed zayin vayikra. The pasuk is teaching that only by coming into contact with food, with liquid, only by getting wet. Regarding tumah, regarding the ability to be makabel tumah, only that completes the food making process. It makes it into full. It constitutes oichel with respect to be makabel tumah. Okay, so as we mentioned, dam has that ability, provided it's the proper dam, the dam that expresses the life force of the animal. Just a little blood out of a wound does not qualify. Blood of a dead animal does not qualify. Dam chalalim does. Dam of a killed animal is being killed, and likewise, according to the Shita of Tanakama, which is going to be today's opinion as well, dam of a shechita, of the act of shechita, also has that ability to be machshir for a tumah. Tanu Rabbanan. Okay, so hashoichet. The fellow is doing shechita. The hitis or vinitas dam, some of the blood sprayed aladlas on the pumpkin nearby. What happens to that pumpkin? So you would presume we're talking about dam shechita. So of course it's going to be machshir l'kabel tumah. It's going to make that pumpkin susceptible to tumah. Right? Which is the shita of the Tanakama, as opposed to Reb Shimon, who told us yesterday a dam of shechita is not going to be machshir. Okay, so that's the case. Rabbi Omer Huchshar. According to Rabbi, hechsher took place, because that blood is dam shechita, which is machshir. Rabbi Chia Omer Toilin. According to Rabbi Chia, you leave it hanging. It's a pending situation, which will be explained coming up in the Gemara soon. Okay, so that's Rabbi versus Rabbi Chia. I'm Rabbi Yeshia. Okay, let's figure this out. Mi'achashe Rabbi Omer Huchshar. Once Rabbi says yes, Huchshar. Rabbi Chia Omer, he says we're not sure, Toilin. Oh no, so who should we rely on? Oh no, minismech. Oh, boy, v'nismech al devei Reb Shimon. We'll go to Reb Shimon, who would tell us that the dam of shechita is not going to be machshir at all. Shoy Reb Shimon Omer, because according to Reb Shimon, shechita, the act of shechita, which transforms, which converts the animal into edible flesh, that is a real food maker, machsheres. That accomplishes hechsher. That elevates it into food status for tumah as well. But blood doesn't have that ability. Not the dam of shechita. And Rashi explains, well, what did he mean to say? He meant like this, because since on the one side you have Rebbe saying, yes, hechsher. On the other side you have Rabbi Chia who says, well, not really. And then you have Rabbi Shimon, who clearly says that dam of shechita does not work. So it's like 2 against 1. Yachid b'makom shnayim, a single opinion versus 2. We follow the consensus. We follow the majority. And the Gemara explains exactly what we're talking about. Meaning, what's the case here? What are the considerations of this machlekes? Again, we had a shechita going on, some blood sprinkled on the pumpkin. Rabbi says hechsher. Rabbi says we're not sure. Amar Papa, listen to this machlekes. Listen to this explanation in the machlekes. Hakol moedim, all would agree. Heicha de'isei ladam mitchila v'atzoif. If the blood was present on that pumpkin all the way to the end of the shechita. Shechita takes 20 seconds, the blood sprinkled at the beginning, and it stayed there until the end of the shechita. It was present while the shechita was concluded. There's no question. That blood qualifies as a machshir. It's considered dam of shechita because it was there, it was present during the conclusion of the shechita. So it is labeled dam shechita. It is part of the dam shechita. It is machshir. All agree that it's machshir because we're going like the opinion. Dam of shechita is machshir, and this qualifies. So what's the machlekes about? The blood that sprayed onto the fruit was wiped off midway during that shechita bein siman la siman. Okay, so you cut through a little bit, blood sprayed, and quickly wiped it off the fruit, clean it up, and then he finished the shechita. Continued with the next tube. So the blood was just present during the beginning of the shechita, and then it was gone. That is subject to machlekes. Rabbi holds, that's enough. If you recall, we had this discussion way back. What is considered? Which part of the cutting process is considered the act of shechita? Is it a continuous process from start to finish? So the shechita starts when he starts cutting and continues on till the end. In which case, this blood that was present on the pumpkin at the beginning of the shechita qualifies as dam shechita. Or shechita perhaps only kicks in at the very end of that cut. That's when it's considered shechita. Now, when this blood was gone, was erased, by the time the shechita was actually applied, then this dam does not qualify as dam shechita. Pretty wondrous concept. The same blood, right? But if it wasn't present on the fruit, on the vegetable, at the moment that shechita actually got activated, it doesn't qualify as dam shechita. It's not machshir. Okay, so again, Rebbe holds it's okay. Rebbe savar yeshna l'shchita mitchilu ad soif shchita. Starts at the beginning all the way to the end of the cut. It's an ongoing, continuous process. V'hai dam shchita. So this blood that's sprayed at the beginning is called dam shchita because it came from an act of shchita, which began at the very beginning of the cut. Rebbe Chia, v'hai dam shchita. Rebbe Chia savar. He holds, we're not sure. He says, eina l'shchita l'basoif. No. He holds like the other opinion. Shchita only happens at the very end of that cut. So this blood that was only present at the beginning of the shechita doesn't qualify. There was no shechita yet at that point. It's just a blood from a wound. So what does he mean when he says we're not sure? He says toilin. What does toilin mean? Toilin sounds like we're not sure. It's pending. Umay toilin. What does that mean? Toilin. Toilin adavad ma shechita. Toilin means it depends. Is a girsa tolui. It really depends. If it lasted to the end of the shechita, we wait and see what happened at the end of the shechita. That's what it means. It depends. If the blood was present, was there at the end of the shechita, so now that blood also sort of relates to the act of shechita, and it qualifies. Then it's a machshir. V'loy, but otherwise, if it's gone by the time shechita came onto the scene, loy machshir. It's not going to be machshir. Okay, so this machlekes, Rebbe and Rebbe Chia, really hinges on a previously discussed machlekes regarding the moment of shechita. Now, Rebbe Oishia concluded. He says, "Look, we're going to adopt Rebbe Chia." Because it's in line with Reb Shimon, so it's 2 against 1. Now, what's the connection? Umay boyu v'nismech al Reb Shimon. He says we're going to rely on Reb Shimon, who says that dam of shechita doesn't have this power at all. So he's on a different track altogether. What's the connection to our discussion? That's the Gemara's kasha. Reb Shimon loy machshir. It never is machshir, according to Reb Shimon. He's on a different track. Reb Chia, however, machshir v'niskaneach. Machshir. Reb Chia never took issue in concept. He agrees in principle. Dam of shechita is machshir. Just says that it has to be blood of shechita, not removed before shechita happens. So how can you combine these two opinions and sort of make them into consensus and 2 against 1? Says the Gemara, but nevertheless, in this very specific circumstance, when the blood was wiped away mid shechita, Rabbi Chia holds there's no hechsher because blood was gone before shchita kicked in, and Rabbi Shimon also holds there's no hechsher for a different reason, because blood of shchita altogether is not machsher. But in any event, in this specific case, in this scenario, you have two opinions in line with each other to the extent that they both hold that there's no hechsher, versus Rebbe who says there is, for 2 against 1. Interesting, you can combine, you can be mitzaref. The Marik brings a right from here that you can be mitzaref 2 opinions who really are opposed to each other in principle. But since they form a consensus in a very specific circumstance, right, it sort of happens to fall together and come together in consensus in this specific case for different reasons. You can sort of pair them up and consider them to be a majority, a rabbim, versus an opinion of a single shita, and you pass like the majority. Interesting. Okay, so that's Rav Papa's take on this machlekes. Oh, I just finished. So Ashval Adodi. So in this specific case, they're both in agreement. Marloi machshir, marloi machshir, right? Each one. Reb Chia says there's no hechsher. Reb Shimon says there's no hechsher for different reasons, but ultimately they both hold there's no hechsher. So now you have 2 against 1 against Rebbe who says there is a hechsher. Havalei Rebbe. So the shita's Rebbe that there is hechsher in this case is only a singular shita chad, an individual, versus 2 that oppose him. Ve'en dvarav shel echad makom shnayim, and you don't consider the opinion of a yachid against 2. Ramashi Amar, he has a different understanding of the machlokes and what Rabbi Chia had in mind when he said toilin. Toilin lo'ila mashma, he says toilin means it's an unsure situation. It's pending. It's an unknown. Rashi says typically toilin means we wait until Eliyahu Navi comes and informs us of the halacha. We're not sure. Right? So he holds that the term toilin wouldn't be appropriate if it's just a matter of waiting a couple of seconds and seeing if the blood stays around till the end. That the lashon toilin means it's virtually an unknown. Oh, so what then is the pshat? In this case, where the blood got wiped away during the shchita, according to Reb Chia, it's inherently unknown. It's an uncertainty. There's a suffix in halacha how to treat it. The Reb Chia is not sure how to view the act of shchita. Is the shchita an ongoing, continuous process, in which case this blood qualifies as dam shchita because it was squirted out at the beginning of the act of shchita, dam shchita which is machshir, or do you say shchita only happens at the very end, and this dam was not there at the very end, so it doesn't qualify, it's not labeled as dam shchita. Right? He's not even sure. His suffix is, which approach to shchita do we adopt? The shchita started at the beginning of the cut, so his blood qualifies. Or perhaps shchita only happens at the end. In which case, this blood that was wiped off by that time, it doesn't qualify. Umay toilin. What does he mean when he said toilin? He meant to say we're not sure. Loy oichlin. If this vegetable is truma, you can't eat it. Perhaps it was huchshel lekabel tumah, now it touched tumah, it's tummy. V'lo yisarfen, nor can you burn it. You can't outright burn something which may not be tummy if it's truma. Now, that explains Reb Chia. So, according to this approach, Rebbe is sure that it's machshir because shchita happens continuously, from beginning to the end of the act of shchita. So this blood qualifies as dam shchita. Reb Chia is not sure. It's inherently an unknown. Now, Reb Oisha comes and says, well, at this point we'll adopt Reb Chia together with Reb Shimon, and there's no hechsher. My boy Reb Shimon. What does he mean when he says we're relying on Reb Shimon? How could you combine Reb Shimon, who says even dam of real shchita is not machshir, to Reb Chia, who concedes that it would be machshir if it was really considered dam shchita, just not sure what it is? So basically the same question and answer as we said before. Reb Shimon loy machshir. Reb Shimon holds it's not machshir at all. How can you compare that and combine it to Reb Chia? Reb Chia, it's a sveika, it's an unknown. Says the Gemara ultimately, in terms of practical application, they're both on the same page. Leaning straight from you, shaval adadi, regarding the permissibility or the requirement to burn the truma, they're both on the same page. That you do not do that for different reasons, but ultimately you don't do that. Marloi sarfe, he holds you don't burn it. Well, Marloi sarfe, the other one also holds you don't burn it. Rabbi Shimon, because dam of shchita is not machshir, there's no tumah at all, no reason to burn, and Rabbi Chia because he's not sure. Ultimately, it's 2 who refrained from burning, as opposed to Rebbe who says burn. So it's 1 against 2. Havale Rebbe Chad. So Rebbe's opinion to burn is one opinion, one shita. So it's individual versus a multitude. And you follow the Rabbi. So what did the Reb Chia mean to say when he said toilin? For instance, this type of case, which is uncertainty, toilin. You let it hang. It's pending. You can't eat the pumpkin that touched tumah because it may be tameh. Well, sorry for nor do you burn it. Okay, before we continue, in a nutshell, we had a case of dam that sprayed off the beginning of the shechita, landed on the las, wiped away, mid shechita, no longer there at the end of the shechita. So according to Reb Shimon, there's never hechsher by dam shechita. It's open and shut. According to Rebbe, there is hechsher here as well. According to Reb Chia, we're not sure. 2 ways to learn. Either it depends if it was there till the end of shechita, because shechita happens at the end, or he's not sure. And therefore, you don't eat, nor do you burn. Boy Reb Shimon ben Lakish. Here comes a new discussion on the topic of hechsher. Hechsher l'kabel tumah. As we're going to see later, there's something called chibas hakodesh, which is actually based on a pasuk, dearness, the extra dearness that kodesh material has, enhances its ability to be mekabel tumah, even if there's no liquid contact. It gives it completion and prominence. It elevates it to the status of a true, completed food, in which case it's open for tumah even without having gotten wet. So here comes a question. To what extent? Okay, it can become tummy. Right? Dry carbon material touches tumah, it becomes tummy. But is that where it stops? It's only with respect to itself, its own ability to receive tumah, or perhaps is it really truly tummy to the extent that it can actually spread it and transmit it and carry it over to others via contact, like a regular tumah? Or do we say, no, it's limited to itself and it can't, export it? Reb Shimon ben Lakish comes to Rish Lakish and he has a shayla. Tzrid, the dry granules in the flour in the mincha, shalmanachis, which never contacted liquid. So if tumah touched it, it becomes tumah. But to the point that it can actually turn around to be matame others, export it, make a rishon and sheni, right? Moinen by rishon v'sheni. Do we count rishon and sheni? Meaning, does it carry on? Perhaps you can't count rishon v'sheni. Ki mahanya chibas hakodesh. Does the concept of kodesh dearness, which makes it susceptible to tumah, only empowers or enables lefsuli gufe to disqualify the actual carbon material, and it stops there. Lemimna be rishon v'sheni, but to go and carry over to the rishon to the sheni, no, that's no, perhaps no difference. Tummy is tummy, and all principles, all rules are in effect. Let me try to prove this point from a Bryce. Pasuk says, so these are the psukim about hershel kabel tumah, right? All foods which can be eaten. Water lands on them, they become tamei. And we learn, oichel haba b'mayim hochsha, right? Food which had come into contact with water becomes huchshar l'kabel tumah. Oichel she'eni ba b'mayim lehuchshar. Otherwise, there's no contact with water, there's no hechshar. So Lezer basically just quoted a pasuk, right? That water has to be present to make hechshar. Oh. So let's assume, even when dry material is considered huchshar, because it's chibas hakodesh, kodesh material has that extra bit, a little bit only, it's limited to itself, it doesn't pass it on. Says the Gemara, Atu Reb Shimon ben Lakish Leslie. I think Reb Shimon ben Lakish didn't know that oichel above mayim, that water has to come into contact with this oichel to be mekabel tumah. It's a pasuk. What do you mean? Shimon ben Lakish hachim k'mei boile. His question was like this: chibas hakodesh. This extra chibas hakodesh element, how far does it go? Ka'oichel above mayim dami. So is this dry material considered as though it was dunked into water? to the full extent of hechsher, to be metame itself, to transmit to others, or perhaps not. To affect itself, yes, but not to transmit it to others. So, what was Rabbi Eliezer proving? I mean, of course, the halacha that hechsher is required, yeah, we all know that. The question was, how far does chibas HaKodesh take you? Says the Gemara, Rabbi Eliezer, Nami Vituri Kroi Ka'amar. You're right, Rabbi Eliezer wasn't just quoting a pasuk. He was making a point from the extra wording in the pasuk. And trying to use that to resolve Rish Lakish's shaila. Michte, look, Ksiv already told us earlier in the pasuk, Chiyutan Maim al Zera, water hits the Zera, it's susceptible to tumah. Why does the pasuk have to repeat itself? Right? If the water hits the food, what's the point of repeating it? We turn to base. Oh, says Rabbi Eliezer, apparently the message is lavlim ute, apparently to minimize chibas hakodesh. That although chibas hakodesh enables the kodesh to become tamei, even in absence of liquid presence, but it's limited to its own disqualification. It can't transmit to others. And that was his message. That was his response to Rish Lakish. Says the Gemara, not necessarily so. You can't really prove from that extra pasuk loy, because the pasuk is needed. There are two categories of tumah, and the pasuk has to tell you that regarding both types of tumah, hechsher is a prerequisite for tumah. But it's not talking about chibas hakodesh. Speaking about standard, regular hechsher system on regular material. Lo echad b'tumas meis. One is to instruct that hechsher is required to enable tumas meis. That only after liquid arrives on that food can the item be susceptible to the tumah of a maze by touching a maze becoming tummy. V'chad b'tumas sharetz. One is regarding touching a lizard. They're both different types of tumahs. The both are needed. You can't learn one from the other. But ashmin and tumas meis. Had the pasuk only informed us that by tumas meis hechsher is required, I would say yeah. In a way, it's not so severe like the other tumah. Hasam hu by hechsher. There, hechsher is required to open the door to tumah. Mishum metamika b'chadasha. In contrast to a lizard, where even just a bean size piece of material is metame by the mace, you need a full kazayas. You need more, so perhaps it's more lenient. Aval sheres the metame b'kadosh emuloy by hechsher, but by a lizard, which is metame even by a small amount, perhaps that because of that strictness, we suspend the hechsher requirement as well. That's why it has to say it by the sheretz. On the other hand, v'yashmin and sheretz, had we only mentioned sheretz, mishum blame metame tumas shiva, because tumas sheretz, as we know, is just a 1-day affair. It's not a 7-day tumah. So perhaps there more conditions have to be met for it to work. Aval meis the metame tumas shiva by a mace, which is a week-long tumah. More severe, more strict. Perhaps hechsher is not a requirement. It can be metame even without a tzricha. That's why the pasuk has to stress whether it's tumas meis, tumas sheretz. All these types of tumas are treated equally regarding the requirement for that food to first get wet and then become tummy. Okay, so back to Rish Lakish's question. Standard procedure requires hechsher. Chibas hakodesh does not require hechsher. To what extent? Just to be metame itself, or perhaps even to transmit that tumah to others. Okay, Masiv Rav Yosef. So Rabbi Eliezer was the one who says that the answer is no, right? He had a pasuk, and the Gemara sort of challenged it, but Rabbi Eliezer held that we have a raya that by chibas hakodesh it's only personal; it's not going to spread to others. Masiv Rav Yosef. I have a question, Rav Yosef. Let's go back to our Mishnah. Rabbi Shimon Aimer, huchshu b'shchita. So he says that. Forget about the dam of shchita, the actual act of shchita, which is a transformative act, which processes the animal into meat. That elevates it to food status, complete food status, and makes it open for tumah. Huchshu b'shchita, despite the fact that there's no liquid. That will be machshir. So let's infer. Huchshur, the lashon huchshur would seem to indicate a full hechsher in all respects. So the flesh can now receive tumah, transmit tumah, even to make rishon v'sheni. The question is why? How to that extent? This food had never came into contact with liquids, And the one is assuming. So just like in this case, the act of shechita elevates it to food status despite the absence of liquids. And to what extent? To full extent. It can become tamei, it can transmit to others. Let's assume, likewise by chibas hakodesh, which works even with the absence of liquids. It's not just a personal tumah, it can get transmitted and carried over as well. Amalei Abai responds, well, here we're talking maybe midrabanan. Maybe midrabanan. It's considered like a full hechsher. As'u kehechsher mayim midrabanan. Rabban, they consider as though it was hechsher through the standard water system. But regarding Minat Torah, which is Rish Lakish's question, who's to say that the Torah empowers it to be matami others? Amar Abzera Tashmai comes another raya. Habayt Lagas, a fellow harvested his grapes, the intention of taking them to the grape press. He had no interest in the juice that's trickling off these grapes now, just getting lost on the way. So, is there hechsher on those grapes? Shama Eimer Huchsha, yeah, there's hechsher. Rashi says, even though he's not really interested in the water, in the juice, which is a prerequisite for hechsher to work, you have to have some interest in the juice. But he says there's a gzera, there's a concern, there are rabbanon. Perhaps next time he's going to, put them into waterproof containers to salvage the liquid. So, in all cases, we consider the fruit to be huksha. No, there's no hechsher. Ultimately, he'll concede to Shammai that there is hechsher. And again, we're assuming that hechsher means full-fledged hechsher, the full package. It can become tamei, it can transmit to others. And the question is, again, why? There's no real legal liquid here going on. There's no food coming into contact with liquid. This liquid, Rashi says, is leinichel. He's not interested. It was never designated for a specific purpose. So it doesn't really have the hechsher power Minat Torah. So once again, it's midrabanan. Asu kehechsher mayim midrabanan. Rabbanan considered like it was with water, and it's matami others. But again, Minat Torah, you have no proof from here. Amalei Rabbi Yosef. So Rabbi Yosef responds, Amin elachana huchshur b'shchita. I quoted that Mishnah that Reb Shimon regards the act of shchita as an act of hechsher, and he called it huchshur b'shchita, which sounds like it's the full package, with the full power, the full ability for its own tumah and transmitting to others. But honestly, you're telling me as'u kehechsher mayim. That's telling me the rabbanon and the right. To me, it sounds like it's Minat Torah, real hechsher. And Reb Zera likewise brought that second raya from the Mishnah, where it seems like he responded to him the same thing. Asur kehechsher mayim, it's telling me the rabbanon. Okay, fine. So, but haven't you resolved at least that aspect of the question? The Reb Shimon Lakish Nami. So we had a question. Rish Lakish had a question. How far does chibas hakodesh go? So at least now midrabanan. It does carry on. Asu kehechsher mayim. They consider it like hechsher mayim. So what's the question? Amalei says you're right. Atu Reb Shimon ben Lakish litlos kamen ba'ilei. Shimon Lakish knew that midrabanan, it's makabel tumah, it transmits tumah, and in fact, if it touches something else, that other item is tamei with the rabbanan, and that's called litles. Like we said before, you can't burn it, but you can't eat it. It's sort of pending. Litles coming by. You think he had that question? No, that he knew. That was a given. Of course, with the rabbanan, all these situations are full hechsher, full tumah. His question was whether Minat Torah chibas hakodesh will receive and transmit tumah to the point that if it touches something else, that will be burnt, because it's considered fully tamei Minat Torah. That tumah will be burnt. And that was his question that we haven't really resolved. With the rabbanon, yes, but with the raisa, we're not sure. Okay, on this point, says the Gemara. Okay, so you mean to say mechlal? You mean to say that the chibas hakodesh the raisa? This whole concept of chibas hakodesh, giving the kodesh material the ability to makabel tumah despite the lack of liquid, is Minat Torah. You just don't know to what extent. Was it just for itself to transmit to others? But it's a Torah principle. Menon, which pasuk? Where's the source for that? Ilim the chsev is from the pasuk va'basar she'iga b'chol tamei. It's talking about the basar of a karb and of shlamim. It touches something which is tamei, becomes tamei. Now let's analyze. Was there hechsher? Hi basar the iskish b'mai. Where was the hechsher on this basar? Either midiskasha b'dam, was it the blood during the shechita? Guess what? Only blood of non-kachim is going to be machshir, but not blood of kachim. Has a different function, different designation. It's not equated to water. How do we know the blood of a carbon is not machshir? Don't eat blood. Blood is meant to be spilled out like water. So we have that equation between blood and water, which gives the blood the ability to be machshir, because it's considered a liquid like water. Well, guess what? Only blood which is equated to water. Regular, ordinary, mundane blood, but not blood of kachim, which is meant for the mizbeach, not meant to be poured out. Only blood which is meant to be poured out like water. Yeah, that's machshir, meaning ordinary blood of a regular animal. But blood of a carbon, ain't a machshir, it's not really machshir. So this blood won't be machshir. Had the meat become huchshir? Perhaps the hechsher arrived through rinsing it in the meat in the kitchen they had in the Beis Hamikdash. Well, guess what? That's not either going to be machshir. The liquids found in the kitchen, loy dayan. Not only shein dachan, not only are they clean, are they dachin? They're not going to be kam tamei. Ela shein machshir. They're not even going to be machshir. Perhaps he just meant to say the blood is not machshir, because dam of carbon is not machshir, but the water is found there is machshir? No, but mashke kamer, he said mashke, plural, all the liquids. So how did this meat become huchshir? Elalav this kasha b'chibas hakodesh. The only option is left is chibas hakodesh, that dearness, that elevated status, that gives it prominence and completion and food status. Says the Gemara, who says, V'dilma, perhaps we have another way that it got wet. Very plainly. He had this shlomim cow. He ran it through the stream to ease in the flaying process, in the skinning process. Shachted, then he shechted. If I die, we still have, real liquid, real wet liquid on the skin, on the outside skin, and dripped on the meat. So perhaps that's how the meat got huchshav, regular water, elamesif. Rather, the proof of chibas hakodesh comes to the next part of the pasuk. So the pasuk later on says, "Va'basar kol toher yochal basar." Extra word va'basar. The rabbi is eitzim levayna. And even non-food items, firewood for the mizbeach, levayna, incense. Eitzim levayna b'nei achila ninu. These items are edible. How could they be makabel tumah? Only food is makabel tumah. Oh, elachibas hakodesh. It must be that the concept of chibas hakodesh elevates these items, machshirlu, enables them, completes them, umeshavilu eichel. Now they're regarded like food. They're not really food, but it gives them the same prominence. What's special about food? It's edible. It's chosh. It gives them prominence as though they're food, and they're now makabel tumah like food. Achanami. So back to our story. Every kosher material, meat which had never been washed, despite the fact that it's lacking a formal hechsher process, it doesn't require that process. It's prominent, it's choshev, it's complete on its own. Oh, so here's the source of chibas hakodesh. The question is, to what extent? Why? How do you understand this? We turn to the next talmud. Perhaps chibas hakodesh only enables the actual material to receive tamah, but to transfer it further, to make a rishon v'sheni, perhaps not that far. No, perhaps there's no difference. If it's tamah, it's tamah. Take it, we leave it on ourselves. So bottom line is, we have a pasuk for chibas hakodesh, eitzim levayna, come tamah despite not being food. So we see chibas hakodesh gives it prominence, makes it like a full food item. Likewise, even without the hechsher process, it is susceptible to tumah as well. It's a complete food even without that liquid. And that's minat Torah. The question is, how far does it go? Is it just to disqualify itself, or even to transmit further? But certainly with the Rabbanon, we have several rayos that with the Rabbanon, of course, it will carry on. The question just was its ability minat Torah. All the best to you and Hatzlach.